Alright, welcome back to the New Sentinel. This is Chukwuka, and today we're digging deep into one of the classic battlegrounds for house control, New Jersey. So first up, let's talk about this so-called blue firewall. 9 out of 12 districts are held by Democrats after the last cycle, and the map, if you just look at the numbers, really favors them in all the major urban and a lot of the suburban patches. I mean, just to throw some numbers out, look at NJ1, Donald Norcross's seat, D plus 10, with a 57.8% win in 24. You want an even safer bet? Jump to NJ10 and LaMonica McIver, who clocked in at a D plus 28, nearly 3/4 of that district voting blue. There's not much room for Republican dreams there, is there?
Let me jump in quick. A lot of folks, even inside the Beltway, underestimate what these numbers are actually showing. So CPVI, the Cook Partisan Voting Index, draws that line in the sand. And yeah, when you see something over D plus 10, hell, even D plus 5 most years in this region, it's almost like trying to breach a fortified line back in the Cold War. Reminds me, actually, of a class I did with some young officers, teaching them to read a battlefield. You got to account for all the trenches, all the obstacles before you think about making a move. Same thing here with these districts. On paper, they're locked down, but it's those little trends, like that slow suburban drift toward the center, or even GOP in a few towns, that you got to watch over time. But Chuck, you're right. In places like Camden for NJ1 or Newark for NJ10, the Dems are sitting pretty right now.
That's no accident. Machine politics, strong union presence, decades of progressive coalition building, that's what holds these firewall seats. It's easy to say it's just demographics or simple margins, but the truth is there are layers of civic engagement and sometimes even a certain fatigue among voters. Many safety districts still have rivals, though. NJ1, for example, has a Republican challenger, Teddy Liddell, even if the odds are, well, let's be honest, very long. And Donald Norcross has barely had a real contest in years, which says a lot about how the game is structured.
Yeah, but let's not sugarcoat it. This is classic rear area politics. If you're a Republican in, say, McIver's district in Newark, D plus 28, your campaign's basically an exercise in futility. These blue seats, they're almost invulnerable. Now, in my experience, you never leave a flank open, even if you think it's safe. But from a party machine standpoint, these guys act like they're bulletproof.
And for the record, most of these wins, we're talking about safe or likely seats. 10, 15, even 20 points up. Only a couple even flirt anywhere near single digits. Throw in those suburban trends, a little CPVI math, and it's clear. So long as these margins hold, the firewall's holding. But, and here's the kicker, it ain't invincible forever, not with what's going on elsewhere on the map, which, perfect point, brings us to those battlegrounds.
So, all right, let's focus on that one real soft spot, NJ7. Now, Tom Keene Jr., GOP, he took it in 24 by just 51.8%, so roughly a 2-point win. You look at the charts, and Cook and Sabato downgraded this thing to a true toss-up for 2026, which I haven't seen in a while for Jersey. Why? Suburban swing counties, shifting college-educated voters, and that Trump backlash midterms are known for. And let's not forget, he's facing a real challenger, Rebecca Bennett, former Navy helicopter pilot, and she's already getting attention just for her background, which tends to play well in this kind of split district.
Yeah, see, that's what battlefield strategy is all about. You got your strongholds, like South Jersey's Van Drew in NJ2, the guy's a Trump loyalist and sitting pretty with R plus 5, over 58% last time. And then there's old Chris Smith in NJ4. That district's been red since 1980? R plus 14, 60%. That's your armored column right there. They're not just holding the line, they're daring anybody to come at them. NJ7, though, that's your contested crossing. That's where you gotta commit resources and adapt. You don't charge blind, you gotta scout it, flank it, exploit the chaos.
Flexibility, that's the word. Reminds me, back when I ran ground logistics ops, sometimes you see your opponent shifting tactics, and you gotta learn from it. I'll never forget one campaign event where GOP folks in a blue-leaning district started knocking doors in neighborhoods they usually avoided. That's just like adjusting enemy tactics in hostile territory. In places like NJ7, you gotta operate like you're the underdog every day. You cannot rest on your laurels or you'll lose that district in a heartbeat. Same for Dems, too. They want that flip for House control, so they're coming hard.
Let's not forget about organizational power either. Democrats have built serious ground games in those suburban corridors, learning how to turn out support even when demographics begin to tilt. But honestly, as we discussed in our last episode on the Senate side, that strategy only works if you meet people where they are, on affordability, climate, local issues. Otherwise, you're just throwing money at ads, hoping something sticks. NJ7 is one of the few places where both national parties are playing for keeps, and because it holds that one net gain for House control stake, expect more intensity than ever there.
And every smart campaign in these toss-ups has to play both offense and defense. It's not enough to hold the ground. You have to be proactive, anticipate voter swings, and keep local networks strong. Just like holding a staging area in combat where you expect a counterattack at any moment. That's the only way Keene or Bennett, whichever, wins this thing in the end.
Just check the data. Nowhere else in the state do you see margins inside 5 points. Not even close. This is where national control could turn, because if Republicans lose NJ7, their House majority's up for grabs. Period. End of story.
So let's move out from the headliners, because honestly, the firewall isn't as solid as it looks on the edges. Take NJ9. Nellie Poo won by only 50.8% in 2025, barely 2 points clear, and a D+2 on the index. That's a lean D, but it comes with a real sense of vulnerability, especially when her new challenger, Shana Melius, is working the district hard. I spent a week reporting in Passaic, and I heard again and again from working-class people who feel left out, shut out. I can't tell you how many residents said they don't trust either party anymore. It's like they know their tools in a bigger game, but their voices still feel small. This sense of being unrepresented really starts to erode turnout, especially in the midterms.
Yeah, that's a big deal, Olga. And it's not just NJ9 that's seeing cracks. Look at some of these safe seats, like Norcross in NJ1 or Menendez in NJ8. Both are rated safe D on paper, with monstrous percentage leads. But you let complacency set in. You rely too much on machine politics or endless union endorsements, and suddenly you start missing shifts on the margins. These districts may not fall this cycle, but sooner or later, that edge of vulnerability creeps in. Voters aren't robots, and they're watching for signs their reps aren't listening.
That's the part folks ignore. I've seen it. Troops get too comfortable in the rear, forget about the risk of infiltration. Same for entrenched incumbents. If they're not working the field, things can unravel fast if there's a sudden surge, whether from a new issue like property taxes, crime spikes, or an outsider with a real message. You can build a safe district on old victories and legacy support. But one bad cycle, especially with a strong challenger or low turnout, and you're in for a surprise.
And this is how machines die. When you've got party bosses relying on 50-year-old playbooks, eventually someone finds a way around the trench. Sure, these districts look safe, but as soon as people think their vote doesn't matter, that's when you get blindsided. We saw this before with these so-called lockup seats flipping overnight elsewhere. Don't think it can't happen here.
Absolutely. The real danger isn't just from the other party. It's from within, when people lose faith and disengage. Listening to Passaic's residents, it's clear. American democracy thrives when all voices count. If people start to believe it's all preordained, turnout drops and those slim margins in places like NJ9 become real trouble spots. Maybe not enough to break the firewall yet, but enough to keep both parties on edge, and in the long run, that can lead to serious shifts statewide.
Right, and as we wrap up, it's worth remembering, nothing stays static. The firewall is tough, but there's always weathering on the edge. That's the story in Jersey this cycle. Control feels certain until, well, it doesn't.
Well, You never know when the next surprise is coming. We'll be watching these districts all the way through November, that's for sure.
Thanks, everyone. And if you're in one of these safe or lean districts, don't let anyone tell you your vote doesn't matter. It always does.
Stay sharp out there, folks. We'll be back with more, lots more, to chew on next time.
All right then, that's the new Sentinel signing off. Thank you, Ethan, Olga, Duke. Till next episode, stay aware, stay engaged. God bless.